Hey everybody, we're now going to be talking about evolution. And evolution is what affects all populations, not individuals. So if you happen to have a third hand, it doesn't mean all humans are going to evolve to have a third hand. It's more than just that. Evolution happens over populations. So a whole population would have to change in order to be considered evolution. So here we go, in theory. Okay, so the theory of natural selection, and this was all coming from Darwin. He's like the father of natural selection. Um, this explains why populations have evolved to fit in their environment. So there are like four parts to this. So we're going to go over each of these parts. But if we look at this little picture here, giraffes used to have like a short neck, you know, and then when droughts came or something, they couldn't get to the food up here. So some freakish, giraffe had a little longer neck. And then since that giraffe could reach the branches to eat, the other shorter necks died. And he was able to reproduce and send that to his offspring, that trait of a longer neck. So then I guess, more droughts. This is over 1,000 years, right? And then then those died out because they still couldn't get to the leaves because the leaves were higher. And so again, a longer necked giraffe was able to survive and able to reproduce. And that's a big part of natural selection, is reproducing. So when we talk about uh, you're fit, like the population is fit. Fit means able to survive and reproduce. It's not this. It's enabled to survive in order to reproduce is what fit is. All right. So here's a first vocabulary and variation. So all organisms are a bit different from each other. So I give this example of the dogs because you can see they're all dogs, but they're all very different. Even like with the human population, unless you're an identical twin, you're not looking like anyone else. Um, so there's a little variation within each thing, and we've gone through genetics, so it kind of gives you an idea of, through the Punnett squares, how each organism could look different with different traits. Okay. Then we have heredity. And this is when you inherit variation from your parents and they're passed to your kids, right? So remember when we did this, this is simply the Punnett squares. Here's mom and dad, and her women are XX, men are XY. But even looking here, if mom passed down this X here and dad passed his X, it would be a girl. Mom only has an X to give. She can only give X. So she gives the X to this guy, and then he gets a Y from his dad, making him a boy. And same with the rest, right? So different traits would color for, do their hair color and eye color and different things like that. So those traits, they're called inherited variations because your parents have it, then you're inheriting those different variations of those traits. Okay. And then we have differential reproduction. And what this is, and I have an example here. Okay, so there's not enough resources to survive for all organisms to survive. So organisms produce more successfully if their inherited variation makes them more fit, fit meaning survive and reproduce for the environment. So let's say we have this picture, right? And at the top of it, I have green beetles and brown beetles, right? But you can see their background is a little more brownish or tan color. So when you first look at it, the dark beetles will stand out. So when the birds come flying in, they're going to eat all those dark beetles first, right? So they're going to be less likely to survive and reproduce. So eventually it'll come to this bottom one where all the green ones have been eaten, but these like tannish brown color ones survived. So they survived to able to reproduce. So making them more fit for the environment, meaning they can survive the environment and reproduce, where these green ones couldn't because the birds saw them first and could pick them out and eat them. Alrighty. So the last one is increasing fitness. And so, like I've told you, fitness is all about being able to survive and reproduce. Survive and reproduce equals fitness. Because of the first, three parts, the adaptations will pass through the population, right? So, like in the beetles that we just saw up here, the trait for green didn't pass through because they're being eaten, but the trait for this little brown color did, right? And now the population is all brown because that inherited variation made them more fit, meaning they made it more so they could survive and reproduce. So, um, so evolutionary fitness isn't a measure of physical fitness, but a reproductive fitness. So, fitness means the relative ability to survive and produce offspring in an environment. And that's it. So fill in your vocabulary and I'll see you in the next video. Actually, I'll see you right after this video, but bye.